record. Okay, so as I was mentioning, today we are going to talk about digital leverage. Okay, what is it and how to actually do a good job? Content as a growth tool. So how to actually use content, not as a way for us to share great croissants and great coffees and great pictures, but instead like intentionally and strategically. And actually how to start using content and build your own growth strategy. Okay, so let's move forward with that. And by the end, as usual, we will have enough time to go through Q&A and perhaps even make an exercise with you all. So how to get noticed in a world full of noise. Okay, and this is the question that most of us do anytime we have a project that we want to share and bring people in. Okay, so here comes a concept that Naval Ravikant brought to the world, which is permissionless leverage or digital leverage in this case. So when it comes to leverage, what Naval Ravikant, and for those of you who don't know Naval, you should follow him. Like he has very good advice for startups, NFTs, crypto, whatever. He's a very good brain. And so basically, when it comes to leverage, leverage is anything that helps us to achieve a new level. Okay, so over the last couple of years, we have seen multiple types of leverage that we can deploy to build a project. Some of them are labor. So anytime we hire someone, that person helps us to achieve a new level. And so that's leverage. Hiring people is a typical leverage. Another one is capital. If we deploy capital with, I don't know, advertisement or something like that, we can use capital to actually like leverage our business, our project, whatever. Another one is code, because just by writing one single line of code or multiple lines of code, we can then create new things. And those things can be used repetitively over time without demanding as much maintenance as we should have to do if they were, for example, a car. And another one that we can use is content, because nowadays social media networks have billions of people, and suddenly with the right piece of content or by providing high quality content over a certain period of time consistently, we can then reach thousands or millions of people. Okay, and so as you can see, leverage is like, if you want to use leverage to grow your business or project, this is how. And this is how is content, okay? And why? Because in my point of view, it is the easiest one. You can create content, either written content, voice content, you can create like pictures, videos, whatever. And those pieces of content, they can get virality and they can get traction while you sleep. Okay, so, and as Bill Gates wrote in an essay in 1996, content is king, meaning that through content, we can like entice people, build a new movement, storytell something, we can deliver a product, we can convince people into downloading our app or buying into our product and company, okay? And so content is king, because in a world filled with apps and multiple businesses, the ones that can leverage their story the best way possible are the ones that win, okay? And so let's take a look at content as a growth tool. When it comes to content, there are multiple formats, as I've mentioned already, but these are perhaps the most frequent. So we have on one end, the long form written content. On the other end, on the other side of the spectrum, we have short form written content, and both of these are written content. So we can have content as essays, ebooks, blog posts, newsletters, or instead something much more tactical like DMs, Twitter posts, Discord server messages, Telegram groups, whatever. Okay, when it comes to, okay, I don't know who is with the mic. Oh yeah, so thank you, Azul. So when it comes to audio and video and images, we have multiple things that we can do with both or each one of these different formats. When it comes to audio, we have podcasts, Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces, online radio, video is like TikTok, IG Reels, whatever, okay? And images, we have GIFs, pictures, banner, carousels. so many ways that we can express ourselves and sell our ideas and reach people, okay? And so the first thing that I want to bring here is that anytime we think about creating content, and given that most of you want to like leverage and expand the visibility that you can attract to your project or product or company, we have two ways that we can do, okay? And one way is like how most of the companies out there do, and the other one is like how the best companies out there do, okay? And this is a clear difference. So we follow people, we do not follow brands. As you can see, Elon Musk has like 100 million followers, while Tesla, his company, only has 16.5. And while it may seem absurd, yes, there is a clear difference when it comes to follow brands or follow people. And so when it comes to start thinking about your content strategy for your personal project or your particular project, what I can tell you is that growing a project through content, the best way to do it is by leveraging on your founders or your community managers or your community members' brands, okay? So instead, for example, of having a lot of content being pushed out through Vinci, I can also use part of that content under my own personal brand. And ultimately, I'll have more people following Vinci's page because they already follow me. And as they trust me as an individual, they are willing to also trust Vinci and give it a follow. Okay. And so this is a clear step that once you take it, it will become a no-brainer. But most people try to grow brands, and most brands, they are not approachable. They don't necessarily talk in a personal manner. And so people don't identify with brands. But when it comes to people, people identify with people. And so I brought you here my own use case so you can understand that I'm talking from my own experience and not from like any book or something like that I have come up with, okay? And so when it comes to designing or coming up with your own content strategy, the best way to start is to find your own niche, okay? And after you have defined your clear niche, you'll be able to start attracting the right people, building the right audience, and using your profile as your top of the funnel, or at least one of your funnels, okay? And so that's where I bring my own framework. So I take a look at content the same way a software or a product manager looks at product development, okay? So to me, my content is like my product. My own profile is like my own product, okay? And so I use a small framework that I've come up with after years developing products, which is like my profile picture is like my team or logo, okay? My pinned tweet is my product description or unique selling proposition. My banner, so this thing here, is my UI and it has my call to action. My tone, the way on how I write and I express myself, it demonstrates my culture, my values and beliefs, and that's how I build relationships with others. And my bio is like my mission and my about page. It has to have something that demonstrates credibility and actionability. Okay, it has to be actionable and demonstrate some credibility. And the moment you have everything set up, you have found your own niche, you know who you are talking to, you have defined everything here, and you have checked and each one of these boxes, then you have to focus on only three things. The first one is to start to have an engagement rate, okay? And so focus on having 3 to 5% of engagement rate, okay? The second one is start building relationships, meaning try to move conversations that start on under your own tweets, on your comments and stuff like that, and start by moving those conversations to DMs, make them personal, start building a relationship, jump into a Zoom call with someone, okay? And also, and this is more a value of mine than other thing, is like try to always reply to everyone because it will foster your relationship and it will build some credibility, okay? And the moment you have everything set up, then you can start creating content consistently, okay? And here is when creating the right systems come in. And regarding systems, we are going to take a deep dive into systems tomorrow, okay? And this is where I want to talk briefly about systems because it is always better to have the right systems in place instead of just aiming to achieve a certain goal, okay? And so when it comes to systems and when it comes to content and growth, the best system that you can come up with is to build consistency, or instead to be consistent, like show up every single day. I don't care what are your problems, just show up. And why? Because ultimately, if you think about the current algorithms of all our social media networks, you will immediately recognize and understand that all those algorithms want is people providing content. And then those algorithms will share the content, the best content, with other people interested in the same thing as you are creating content. Meaning that ultimately algorithms are used to serve your content if you become consistent, because to the algorithm you are now a source of content, okay? And so show up every single day is the first step, and the second one is create value. Okay, create value, it can be through educational content, curation, I don't know, like many things, like share insights about your industry, share insights about your own behind the scenes if you are building a company or a product or a project, whatever. Okay, but create value. And anytime you want to think about the current value that I'm talking about here, it's really easy. Is it like, what can I share with myself if I was like 2 years ago? If it was 2 years ago, what can I share, me, Bernie, with someone who is exactly on my own shoes, but two years behind me? Okay. And so that's the best framework. That's a great framework, because just curating like the 10 best resources, the 10 best free resources for you to start learning about Web3, it will help a ton of people who may be now completely lost on the Web3 rabbit hole, okay? And so if you start by deconstructing the framework or the mindset of how can I provide value to myself, but 2 years ago, that's the best framework for you to never have any like problems or concerns about thinking out how you can create value, okay? And now regarding tactics, the best way for you to start building consistency is to tweet 3 to 5 times a day, engage with bigger accounts because they will give you some distribution also, and build distributions, build distributions, build relationships, build authentic relationships with people who interact with your content, because ultimately those people will help you to achieve more people, okay? Like they will eventually start commenting under your tweets, under your content, they will start sharing your content and stuff like that, or even giving you more ideas about content pieces they would like to see and read or watch from you, okay? So build relationships and always aim for that. Now, this is the current result I got myself the moment I started creating content almost 1 year ago, okay? So as you can see, when I first came to Twitter, I only had like 50 followers, if that was enough. And back then I only got like 931 impressions in 62 days, meaning this is almost nothing, okay? The number of impressions is the number of people who have seen my tweet. And yeah, and by the way, all these analytics, they are extracted from the Twitter analytics platform, okay? So as you can see, in 62 days, all I had was less than 1,000 impressions. And then I started to create content, and 30 days after, I was already reaching out to 112,000 people, okay? Some of them the same people, but many others new people. And naturally, I was already growing my audience. I was getting more likes, more comments, and stuff like that. And so I stayed consistent and I pushed higher. And in just 90 days, I got to almost 12 million impressions. Just for you to have an idea, like I am from Portugal, and Portugal has 10,000 people, 10 million inhabitants. Okay, so in just 90 days, I was able to reach more than the amount of people who live in my country. Okay, and so this was just not just a result of consistency, but a mix between being consistent, building relationships, replying to people, being approachable and kind, and also to create value. And so as I was deconstructing Web3 and writing about Web3, I got some threads reaching themselves to 1 million people, okay? And so as you can see, this is huge. But the thing now is growth, and this is where I really want you to focus, is growth is a compound effect, okay? So at the beginning, like after 30 days, showing up every single day, I remember that it was really hard to just get like 5 likes, to get at least 1 to 2 people to engage with my content, but I stayed consistent. And after 60 days, I was already getting some results. And in 90 days, I completely exploded. And I went from 50 followers to 10K followers in just 2 months. And then it just took me 1 month to get to 20K, and then just 2 weeks to get to 30K, okay? And so as you can see, like, growth is actually compounding, okay? And as you can see here on the right, this is my average growth during the different months. So September, it was my first month, almost nobody. And then October, okay, perhaps 1,000 followers. And then suddenly I exploded into almost 4,000 followers just in November, and then 5,000 followers in December, okay? And so if I have, if back then I had kept with my consistency, nowadays I would have something like 100K or 150K followers. But yeah, hey, whatever, that's a conversation for another moment. But the thing also is, okay, so you don't want to stay consistent, okay? You don't want to stay consistent. You want to just make a sprint, be as consistent as hell in like 90 days or 120 days. What next? And what next is this slide, okay? So this is what happened. So after like 4 to 5 months growing my audience, I finally decided I wanted to start building Vinci. And so I started to interview potential users. I started to identify our positioning. I had much more stuff to do. And so I completely put my own personal growth and personal brand growth like under the table of priorities. And so this is like the result. And the ultimate result is that, yes, if you stop being consistent, you will lose traction. And with losing traction, you will start losing followers, and you will start losing the influence that you got, okay? And so that's natural. That's something that will happen eventually if you don't keep being consistent. And so let's now focus on how you can start building your own strategy, okay? And I don't want to just focus on Twitter. Instead, I want to give you the right tools for you to have a full-fledged content strategy here, okay? So just revisiting our last lesson where we have used and shared the 7 steps framework that we use here at Vinci to build our own community. We can also use, and that's why I am extrapolating, because I'll use the same 7-step framework to demonstrate the types of content you can use in each one of these 7 steps, okay? So going to awareness. If you remember, awareness is the moment that you want to attract people's attention, okay? So this is when people have to, like, they get in contact for the first time with whatever you are doing. It may be on your Twitter profile, your Instagram page, I don't care. This is the first moment someone gets in contact with what you are currently building, okay? And so this type of content, it should be evergreen content. Evergreen content is the type of content is most of the times is like long format, either written, podcasts, audio, or video. But most of the times evergreen content is content that will resurface again and again and again, okay? So it is much more strategic, and the goal is to share something like your mission, what you are trying to do, your roadmap, whatever, and not about tactical stuff like replying to people, sending DMs and stuff like that, okay? So for you to start driving more people into your website, Twitter profile, page, community, whatever, the type of content that works really well is the long format content like essays, blog articles, podcasts, and long format videos, where you can clearly explain to people what you are offering, your positioning, why you, etc. Okay. Now, regarding the onboarding, when it comes to the onboarding, we also tend to use long format content, okay? That's also what works better. But From time to time, we have to also balance that with some short format content. But when it comes to long format content here, it's really different, okay? So it's no longer about expressing who you are, what you are trying to do, etc. Instead, it's more about how, like, why should someone join your community? The moment they join your community, what are they doing there? Have some knowledge-based articles, come up with facts, okay? All of these are important for your community members to clearly understand what they can expect from after they have onboarded your community, okay? And as we go through these slides, you can already identify a lot of stuff that unfortunately we here at Vinci, we are not yet able to provide you, but these things are some of the things that we are going to start implementing in the following months, okay? So once again, we are talking from our own experience. Now, regarding the activation, so once again, activation is about having people activated, meaning when you want to activate someone, you want to give them like clear instructions on how to start contributing, something like that, okay? And so here we need a mix of long and short format content, okay? On one side, we need guides and how-tos and demos if it is about onboarding to your tool or a DeFi protocol or something like that. But we also need DMs and Discord server messages and Twitter threads and Twitter posts and even emails, because we need to reach out to people and make sure that anytime someone has a doubt, a question, they see their question being replied and answered, okay? Which then leads us to the engagement. And engagement, when it comes to engagement, what we want is actually people to come back over and over and over again, right? And so when it comes to people coming back, we know that they do not come back for our evergreen content. Instead, people come back because they have relationships, because they have open conversations, because they know already people that they can meet and trust and share and learn, okay? And so most of the times that's what make people stay and engage on your community, okay? So chat conversations, Facebook, Telegram, WhatsApp groups, Discord servers, DMs on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, these tend to be the best types of content to have people engaged, okay? Contribution. So when it comes to contribution, it's really about having people who actively contribute and create value to your community, okay? Community or project, but community in our case. And so when it comes to having contributors, it's almost about having like freelancers or employees, people spread across the globe who perhaps have never met you before. They may or may not trust you enough. And so you have to be really clear. And so that's why you have to find a good mix between having the right guides, how-tos, demos, and stuff like that, but also to interact with people and make sure that you can answer all their questions, keep building that relationship and keep building trust along the process, okay? And this is, once again, one of the places where having the right systems in place will help you a ton. And most of the times having the right systems means that you have to invest a ton of work and a ton of time coming up with the right systems. But after they are in place, you'll have a way to keep growing and expanding, okay? Now, when it comes to retention, we are really here talking about having people staying long time on your community, okay? These are contributors, these are fans of yours, these are investors of yours, people who really like and trust and believe on what you are doing, and these are the ones that you want to stay, to have them stay on your community, okay? And when it comes to retention, feedback plays the best kind of role, okay? And when it comes to feedback, Bernie, what are you talking about? What does it mean, feedback? So feedback is, how can I share with the ones who already like or love or are passionate about what I'm doing? What can I share and how can I share with them what we are currently doing? New goals that we have achieved. bottlenecks that we are trying to solve, problems that we are facing, and how have we come up with a solution to those problems, okay? And so most of the times, that type of long format, the type of content that we use is long format, and the type of content or how we express that is like through newsletters, weekly or monthly events, okay, weekly or monthly announcements, roadmaps, and in review type of content, okay? Meaning that you want to share a bit of what is going on inside your project, but with some sort of consistency that people start to rely on to know more news and feedback about what you are building and what is the stage of what they love is, okay? Now, heading to the last one, the referral. So now, referral. Referral is, as you know already, like, how can I bring more people to our community through our community members? And so this is a very particular question and very hard to answer, because most of the times, like, yes, you'll have a ton of work to build a good referral system. And so it's not just about content, it's also about traceability, how to track people, how to reward those people, whatever. But let's just take a look at how to use content to grow a referral program and how you can come up with that, okay? So when you want people to share what you are doing, now you have to come up with a mix of short and long format content, but instead of being you talking to them, you need to come up with strategies where you put themselves talking for yourself, okay? So they are the ones who have to sell what you are doing, sell or convince someone to join your community, your project, whatever, okay? So in this case, you want to create the type of content that is easy to share, okay? Easy to click on a forward button and just have something like FYI and have a community member send that to someone, okay? So you want to use like emails, like personalized emails, Twitter threads that people can actively share, testimonials, shareable images, the behind the scenes videos and summary articles or summary blog posts and stuff like that, where people can easily understand what you are doing, but most of it, you can share some emotion, some positivity on what you are doing in a way that people want to share the content with someone else, okay? And so this is a very good catch that you have to be clever about how to craft the content in a way that it is easily shared, okay? Now, let's take a look at our current example here at Vinci, okay? We have just done a little bit of this strategy and we are currently working. So during November and December, we are working with a team of 2 more people to come up with our own content strategy for next year, okay? So 2023 is going to be our first public year. It will be huge. And so we are setting up everything to make sure that the January the 1st, we can start launching stuff. And so let's take a look at how we have behaved ourselves over the last couple of months. So when it came to our growth strategy, we decided to go just with Twitter. Okay, no newsletter, no podcast, no nothing, because we didn't have the right people to be able to deploy a strategy like that. And this here is the strategy that we have used during the month of June, okay? So during 3 to 4 weeks of June and July, 2 weeks in June and 2 weeks in July, we have conducted a few experiments to start growing on Twitter, okay? And just to have an idea, at the beginning of June, we had something like 100 followers or 150. And by the end of June, or no, by mid of July, something like that, we had already grew by almost 900 followers. So we were already at 1,000 and something followers back then. Okay, nowadays, I know we only have like 1,000 or yes, 1,000, 1.3K. But that's because we have completely stopped with our content strategy on purpose to make sure that we can relaunch things starting next year, okay? And so let's now take a look at our current strategy. The first thing was to define our clear niche, okay? And so in our case, we are creating content for Web3 community professionals, for people with some experience in Web3, community managers, operators, and builders, okay? So this is our kind of audience. These are our audience, okay? The second thing was our strategy. Okay, so what type of content should we create? How can we grow, whatever? So the first one was, let's document our journey while building Vinci, okay? And so we started to have like weekly posts where we would be able to share like some analytics, some trends, some stuff that we were doing. Share learnings on community building. So given that we are a team with a lot of experience building and managing Web3 communities, we started to create content about community building, okay? And another strategy that we had, but unfortunately we have never deployed this one, was to start to share case studies about other Web3 communities. Something like how this community went from 0 to 10,000 followers. The big problem with that strategy is that you have to rely on other people's information, and it's not that easy to obtain those numbers and those strategies. And so that's why we have dropped this particular strategy. And now in terms of execution, so we decided to have 1 to 2 Twitter threads each week. We decided to have 1 Twitter Spaces about community building a week, okay, and show up daily with content and questions. And so for 3 to 4 weeks, we have conducted all these experiments, and the result was that we have been able to increase the number of applicants to our second and third batch. We were able to position ourselves in the space, and we were able to start working on new partnerships and expand our network and our following, okay? And this is what we got in just 86 days, as you can see. So initially, so June 1st is here, as you can see, and this is like mid-June, more or less. This is when we started to share content, and this is the result of being consistent, okay? And so as you can see, during the month of June and July, we started to be more consistent deploying our strategy, and this is the amount of people that we reached in almost 90 days. Okay, which is awesome, to be honest. This is really great. Now, if you want to take a summary look, so here it is, okay? So in May, we only had like 5,000 impressions, 8 tweets. During June, we started to create more tweets, and suddenly we got like 46,000 impressions and 37,000 profile visits, okay? And then in July, we created even more tweets, as you can see, and we grew even more our impressions and grew slightly more our profile visits and start getting more mentions, okay? New followers, 300 people. New followers in June, 365. So I can say clearly that that's a go-go. This is a green sign. We have conducted well. This is also, once again, just a recap. In 30 days, a 28-day summary, as you can see, this is how we have increased our tweet impressions, our profile visits, our mentions. Why are they important? Because mentions is like word of mouth, and the number of followers. As you can see, 28 days, 900 followers, okay? That was the number here, and we got 300 people. And so, as you can see, the key takeaways after deploying our strategy was that we were able to grow by 1.1K Twitter followers in less than 5 weeks. We got more than 500 batch applicants in just 3 to 4 weeks over the batch, during the batch 2 and then the batch 3. We got 380 newsletter subscribers in just 3 weeks. And yes, we were able to achieve a 3 to 5% engagement rate, thread over thread, and also on single posts, okay? So, any questions? This is it.
No, Bernie, that was super interesting. Sometimes, like, what I was thinking is that it's so hard to plan ahead and stay consistent. like we all know that it's like the clue to success to have a well done content strategy, but sometimes can be a little bit like overwhelming to like produce content like every day and like content of value every day. So yeah, but yeah, that this was super useful.
Yeah, and Azul, let me just pick what you said because I think it is perfect. Okay, so most of the people get really overwhelmed when it comes to create content, and why? Because everybody struggles with the create. And if you take the create part of the content, it's all about content. Okay, it's no longer about creating. And why am I making this exercise? Because when it comes to content, you have two ways that you can follow. On one end, you can become personal and actively like just share your journey. What have you achieved this week? What have you tried that didn't result? You know, you can start by sharing, and sharing is the best way for you to create content or to share through content. So cut the creating part because that's part of your job already. Like this week, I could write a thread like, for example, the following. This week at Vinci, let's take a look at Vinci in review. Over the last 5 days, I got 15 calls with potential users. From those, we have closed 8 initial users who will start using our product starting in November, and 2 of them started to became paying customers. Now, let me tell you how we have got here. Okay, and then I can start writing a Twitter thread where I can explain that we have launched a get early access page. We got like 100 people asking for early access. And then we started to conduct interviews and whatever, you know, and now I am documenting my journey. I don't even have to think about where are the best sources to create content from, what will work or not, whatever. And from an audience perspective, it will be risen like it, they will identify with our struggle, they will identify with what we are doing. Okay, and just by sharing, other people can come into our successes and also like celebrate our successes, but also to give us strength when things are not going as well. Okay, and so just I hope it helps. Perhaps it can help you to change your mindset. Instead of trying to create, try instead to document and share. Okay. Wakas, Samantak, go ahead. One of you.
Uh, I'll go ahead if it's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So um, I agree with Azul. Like it's very like it's you feel kind of pressure to keep creating content, etc. Which you have replied very well. It doesn't have to be a creative thing. You just need to share your journey or learnings. Another thing which I find very helpful for me, and I have seen its results on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. I'm not saying I'm very famous there, but I'm just saying the improvement I see. If you just keep on commenting or replying to people, whoever, like you can comment. If you cannot create a content, you just reply to this, yes, I agree, good job, etc. And if you can add some value to his or her opinion, you share your experience there. So just by replying or quote retweet or similarly on LinkedIn if you reply. So it gives you visibility as well. And I have noticed that Twitter and LinkedIn algorithm works in a way that if you reply too much, you start appearing in people's timeline, etc. So this is the third way. Like first is creative content. Second, Bernie said share your learning, everything. And third, I think just reply to your tweets and LinkedIn posts. I find this very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. And Wakas, just to compliment on what you said. So what you said is brilliant. Okay. That's part of the secret to build an audience and to keep being consistent is to just start to build relationships through comments, retweets, and stuff like that. Okay. And I just want to frame one thing that most people like see it as a barrier, but I think it is the best thing about social media is that before media, we have a single word like something very small called social. And so if you put yourself like, if you try to come up with content, not as a thought leader, not on top of a stage. Like remove the stage, you know, like get out of your own way, write to your friend, like talk to me, like share with me, Bernie, your friend, your pal, that who is also trying to build something, you know. And I'm a person, like I have my own mistakes, I have my own advantages, whatever, but I'm a person. So share with me as you would share with a friend what you are trying to do. And that's the best way to start doing something, because people will immediately start to resonate with you, you know. And if you come out to the world as a human being, someone who is humble in your approach, instead of trying to be a thought leader, like, look at me, Bernie, 30K followers on Twitter, I know everything about Web3 community building, this is how you do it. No, I'm not. I'm sorry, but yes, I'm just a child, you know. I am 29, I'm just learning, I'm doing my stuff, I'm just a pal, like I'm just a regular person, you know. And so try to share as you would share with your friend what you are trying to do. And that's a very, very, very strong framework when it comes to share your project, share your product, engage people on social media. Never forget about the social that comes before media, okay? Samantha.
Yeah, so I had some couple of questions. So first is like, to be consistent on Twitter or on any other social platform, is it good to, use some tools like HiFUD or some scheduling tools which will help us to schedule the content beforehand, so that on a daily basis we can focus on commenting or engaging with others content. And secondly, is it better to repurpose and redistribute the content on every social media platform I'm present in, or create different set of content for every media? Like for LinkedIn it's different, for Twitter it's different,
Yeah.
because some of the audience may be same on both the places. Yep, so these are the two questions I had.
Okay, so let me tackle the first one. Okay, so Samantha, first of all, answer me the following.
Sure.
You have a driver license, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Great. And when you got your driver license, have you started with an automatic car or a manual? Did you have to put in the whatever?
Yeah, I did the manual one.
The manual way. Great. And why? Because it allowed you to understand the car and how it works, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Correct.
So this is the same exercise that I love to do to myself. You don't have to do it, but I do like to do it to myself, which is if I don't know yet how something works, I really love to dig deep and understand how something works. Okay. And so regarding tools for you to distribute, schedule, whatever, I would say that the best way for you to start is to do it by yourself. Do not go into any tools, avoid spending money. Just give it a try. Like for 30 to 60 days, that's nothing. Like 30 to 60 days in our life is like 1 second. Okay, so give it a try for 30 to 60 days, create content consistently, come back to the platform every single day. Create some alarms on your agenda that remind you to come back to the platform, okay? And then come back, be approachable, be humble in your approach, reach out to people, reply to comments, and publish 1 to 2 threads a week, okay? After you do it, you start doing it consistently after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you will start noticing what are some of the repetitive stuff that you have to do over and over and over again. And that's the best way, that's the best moment for you to start automating or start using tools to schedule, republish, comment to people, reply to people, and whatever. Okay. And why am I saying that? Because if you don't go into the trenches and start using it yourself, the features that the application, the platform already provides you with, you will lose some sensibility. And suddenly you are putting another barrier between you and the person that you are trying to reach, you and your audience. Suddenly is no longer about you, a platform, and people. It's about you, a tool, a platform, and people. Okay. And so that's why I think that starting by going into the trenches is the best way. Okay. Now, Regarding repurposing content, okay, repurposing content is using the same content in different platforms. Like content is content, okay, but the same way that you wouldn't use a car to go into a beach, a beach, like the ocean, a beach, whatever. You wouldn't use like a sedan car to go into a beach. You wouldn't use a sedan car to go to a mountain. You have different cars to be used in different places, and everything is about a car and everything is about driving. Okay, so what you are trying to achieve is always the same thing, but the environments, the ecosystems, the whatever, the conditions, they are different. And that's why you use different cars, okay? And so when we come back to content creation in this case, the content is always the same thing. The story, the example, the curation, the resources that you are trying to provide people, the value that you are trying to provide is always the same thing, whatever it is, under a podcast, a video, or a blog article, a LinkedIn article, whatever, okay? But what I know is that if you adapt the content, it will work better, okay? And so here's how you can, for example, adapt a Twitter thread. So you have written and published a Twitter thread on Twitter, okay? Now you have two ways. You can either use all that text, write a compelling article on LinkedIn, hit publish, and there you have a new article published on Twitter or on LinkedIn. Or instead, you can like take screenshots of every single tweet from your thread and publish on Instagram as an Instagram carousel or an Instagram post, or even on LinkedIn as a PDF carousel or an image carousel. And in both cases, you are adapting the content to another platform, okay? And so avoid just like copy pasting the content, because it won't work, okay? Like instead of making a video for YouTube and then just publishing that YouTube link to Twitter, instead try to break the video that you have done to YouTube and make native videos on Twitter and then native videos on Instagram. Okay, at least upload them as a raw file instead of just publishing a link. Okay, I hope it answers.
Yeah, it completely answers my question. Thank you.
Great. So friends, let me know if you have any other questions. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. If not, we can wrap up our call, our lecture in 8 minutes.
Yeah, Ivan, thanks for that lecture. Just wanted to understand if you've come across a few other useful strategies to grow a community apart from content, because that's easily the number one and the most important content strategy, growth strategy when it comes to Web3, because it's very much focused on Twitter and Discord platforms. So how do we reach out to more people, in your opinion? Do you think Reddit is another powerful tool there?
Yes.
What has been your experience?
Yes, but Harshad, let me just correct you on one small thing that you have said, which is it is not necessarily easy to grow a community through content just because Web3 is on Twitter. It has nothing to do with that. What it has to do is that for the first time since social media exists, we have such a huge shift that we don't have enough information and content out there about Web3. For the first time since Facebook, Instagram, whatever, there is a huge gap on the amount of content about a certain topic that is huge. And that topic is Web3, and Web3 alone is huge. And that's why that you will see more and more and more content about Web3, like gaming, NFTs, DAOs, social tokens, tokenization, tokens per se, whatever, during the next following years. Not because everybody will come to Web3, but because as many people as possible will start to create content about Web3, because for the first time ever since these social media platforms exist, there is a huge gap between the number of people, the millions of people who are trying to understand what Web3 is, and the amount of content out there. Okay, and this is what is really happening beneath the algorithms, beneath every platform, is that like if you have 100 million videos being uploaded per day to YouTube, only perhaps 10,000 of them are about NFTs and Web3. Okay, and so what is going on is that millions of people are trying to learn and understand more about Web3, and if they jump into Google, like try to go through the rabbit hole of learning about Web3 just going through Google. Like it is a joke, you know, there is barely no information, and most of the information out there is completely a joke. And so that's why you are seeing so many people growing their communities through content, not because that's the best or the fastest strategy, but because right now Web3 has a huge gap of content. Now, going to your point, if you want to grow a community other than just creating content, and I truly believe that content is the best way for you to grow a community long term. So I truly believe that you should always have a content strategy if you want to build a project for the long term. Okay, but yes, sometimes it's not the best way if you want to grow a community in 3 weeks or 3 months. Okay, so let's face a few different strategies regarding to growth. On one way, you have partnerships. Okay, so you can tap into other communities, communities that are already robust and have already their audiences. And if you identify a clear value proposition that both of you can win, you can pitch that to a certain community, and that community may then want to introduce you to their community members. Okay, you can do that by offering different tokens. If you are launching an NFT collection, it may mean like you can grant a few tokens, a few NFTs to that particular community for free, or mind seeds, whatever. Okay, you know the drill. Now, other strategies may be, for example, you can come up with you can always come up with advertising, but hey, do not spend money on advertising. Right now, Web3 is pretty easy to grow without advertising. Yes, other growth mechanisms are, for example, try to have referral programs and giveaways. That's another way that people have been growing NFT collections. To be honest, I think that 2023 will be a shift on the giveaway and referral paradigm, because it has been used so much that most people just like fall into scams. There is a lot of hype, whatever. And I think that 2023 and 24 is the beginning of a new era when it comes to build Web3 projects and NFT collections. And so I think that giveaways and referrals will start losing momentum. Yes, other ways is, for example, going back to content, TikTok is the best way if you want to grow an audience really fast, because TikTok is growing tremendously. There are not enough content creators or people creating content on TikTok for the amount of people watching TikTok right now, and even less regarding the Web3 topic and NFTs. So that's a very good way for you to create content and easily scale your audience and your community. And even more, a good thing about TikTok is that they are not interest-based, they are intentional-based. So their algorithm is very different when it comes to Twitter and stuff like that. They do not rely on a social graph, they rely on an interest and geo and other kinds of graphs. Okay, so I'm not a TikTok expert, but I can talk a bit more if you want. Yeah, so other than partnerships, giveaways, and referral programs, using TikTok to grow for 90 days, I think these are perhaps the best ways if you want to grow something that is authentic and not a scam. Yeah, then you have always the airdrops, the free NFT drops and stuff like that you can have more noise, or work with influencers. Okay, I hate the work with influencers. I don't trust anyone in NFTs right now to be an influencer of anything. But yes, that's my call.
Right. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult loop of things to pull off when you're trying to grow a product, especially now that we are looking into it at the product that I'm working for. And but yeah, I guess the content thing has been working for us the best, as you mentioned earlier. been good so far. Also the partnerships, and we also tried the NFT launch, giving away NFTs. So that has also done well. Yeah, I'll keep you folks updated about what's happening on that side as well. And another thing I wanted to mention was that all of us are trying to grow on Twitter as well, because personal brand as well matters a lot, as we've been seeing with a lot of successful projects out there. So I was thinking, why don't we all also support each other over there, and we use the platform, this community, Vinci, a lot better, where we can be more proactive with engaging with each other's content. I'm sure we will find most of it useful. If we don't, we have the option not to engage. But if we do, I think with the 9 people over here, that would be super, super useful. So it'll be great if we all can be a little more proactive into supporting each other and grow together on this journey.
Yeah, and let me just give you an idea, Harshad, and everybody here. Sometimes some of our members use the gem, so the diamond gem, the diamond emoji, on their profile names. I also use it. So if you go into my Twitter profile, you will see that I use 3 emojis. The crystal ball is because I am a member at the Zeneca Academy. The small lion is from the Safari Club. And then the gem, the diamond, is from Vinci. And so what I can tell you is, like, if you have a diamond, I will follow you. And I think that that's the best way for all of us to identify ourselves, is like you can always have your profile name, and at the front of the name, between parentheses or something like that, have the emoji of the diamond. And then we can do something like Vinci Fellows follow Vinci Fellows, you know, something like that. And that's the best way. That's the best way for us to keep posting each other, keep each other posted, and all of that. At the same time, we at Vinci, we have the idea. We have had the idea of coming up with a Twitter community group. So at Twitter, we can create small groups called communities. And so I'll try to see if we can create a Twitter community group, and then start inviting each one of you and even people from our previous batches, because that will be awesome for people to know what everyone is doing, their different projects and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just added the diamond.
Great.
All right.
Great. So friends, let's wrap up our session today, and thank you very much for being here. Tomorrow we have our last session. It will be about building systems and incentives. Okay, I hope that I can bring you the content as I hope. And yeah, have a great day and evening, whatever you are right now. And I hope you have enjoyed our current lecture. Okay.
Thank you very much, Bernie. See you
Thank
tomorrow.
you, Valdez. See you all
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye
Nice,
bye,
thank you.
Azul.
Bye.
Hi, hi. Bye bye.